Humanity is on full display at the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts this month. About 120 works of art have crossed the ocean from Belgium for a tour of North America. They show viewers the saintly side of life, the sexy side of life, and its funny side, the way artists treated these ideas a few centuries ago. In Montreal, North Americans have the rare chance to view these original works in person. Saint Sebastian lies wounded in a religious work by Anthony van Dyck, painted around the year 1630. On a nearby wall, a sailor looks lustfully at his companion in a work by Paul Rubens, created around 1615.
In the back, we see this sailor, who we know is probably a fisherman of some sort from his hat. His skin is kind of ruddy and tanned, as if he's been working outside a lot. His nose is red, maybe he's been at the bar. And then the woman is of a kind of different nature. She has this beautiful, soft skin, and Rubens is showing us this very fleshy shoulder. He was very known for his treatment of flesh tones and this ability to make skin look like you could reach out and touch it.
Saints, sinners, lovers, and fools populate an exhibit at the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts this month in a show named for them. The exhibition celebrates 300 years of Flemish Masterworks.
Around 1400 to 1700, Flemish artists were innovating new styles, new techniques, and new subject matter that really influenced artists worldwide and still until today.
Flemish art originated from Flanders, a region in northern Belgium today. Just south of the Netherlands, it's a place where most of the residents speak Dutch. From this region emerged the artists whose works adorn the gallery walls in Montreal, including the celebrated painters Anthony van Dyck and Paul Rubens, whose canvas here has been titled A Sailor and a Woman Embracing.
We don't really know who she is supposed to be, but based on her costume and this kind of suggestive way that her shoulder is shown, she might be a courtesan, and they might be meeting after he has had a long day at the boat. What's also interesting about this painting is the kind of tension of the two figures. So she has this expression looking out at us, and he has his hands. If you look at his hands, the fingers are very kind of big and firm. You can almost feel his grip when you look at his hands. And we might wonder the psychology between these two. What is she thinking as she looks out at us? We're looking at truly one of my favorite works in the exhibition. It's by Curator Chloé M.
Curator Chloé Pelletier of the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts specializes in European art before 1800. She worked with the Belgian curator of the exhibition to bring the traveling show to the museum, while adding 14 pieces from the permanent collection in Montreal that can only be seen at the Museum of Fine Arts.
This is The Return from the Inn by Peter Bruegel II, and it's a painting that is full of witty jokes if you just look closely. Essentially what we see is a man whose wife is carting him home from the inn, which is essentially a bar, because he's probably had a little too much to drink. So he's leaning and she's kind of got him under her arm, and you can see back in the tavern, ruckus has ensued and people are fighting with pitchforks. What would have made this especially funny to people at the time is that this kind of raucous scene, this rowdy scene, is happening in front of a road altar. So you see this little altar with a cross on the top, and even a church in the background. So kind of people behaving badly, and all of this taking place under the watchful eyes of God.
You'll find figures of Christianity in the exhibition. The deities of Greek mythology appear as well.
Here it's Apollo in his sun chariot by Jan Bokhorst. In it, we see Apollo, who's the sun god from Greco-Roman myth, and he's in his chariot, and the story is that he rides his chariot, kind of the sun, across the earth every morning, bringing day. So in this painting, we also have Aurora. She represents dawn. And then dancing around the chariot are 12 women in different colored dresses. They stand for the 12 hours of the day. So we have this beautiful kind of visualization of something that we all experience every day, waking up to see the sun, but it's concretizing that with images, with people, with color, and that's really one of the amazing things about mythological paintings at this time.
Flemish artists also made paintings of painters and paintings of paintings.
What we see here is a couple standing in their art collection, and you can see from floor to ceiling there are paintings of all subjects and styles. What you can't see is what's hidden behind the surface of this painting and what was discovered by researchers when they basically did an X-ray of the painting, an XRF analysis. What we found was that at some point in the painting's history, the original figures that were there were about 8, were painted over, and this couple were added, probably about 20 years after the original painting was made. So we might wonder, why would someone do that? And the question is still open, but much like Photoshop today, you could imagine maybe the painting changes hands and this couple now wants it to show them instead of this random group of people. The answer could be many different things, but this is just one of the kind of fascinating mysteries behind the works in this exhibition.
Viewers will also face the mysteries of this piece. A painting by Katarina Eakins II.
In the painting, we see this combination of living things, of flowers and birds, and this kind of dead object, which is the skull. And it's in that juxtaposition that we're encouraged to reflect on the fleetingness of time on Earth and how material things ultimately fade. It's supposed to encourage us to think about what really matters in life and to live our life the best way possible.
Every work on the walls tells a story.
This painting is supposed to make you laugh. It's by Quentin Metzis, and it's called Keep Your Mouth Shut. What we see is a fool. So we know he's supposed to be a fool because he's wearing the fool's hat, which has donkey ears on it. And he's also holding this staff with a little kind of doll on top. And the doll is bearing his buttocks, being very silly. What this would have been seen as at the time is almost like a ventriloquist act. So this fool is telling us to keep our mouths shut, but he has this little dummy who's kind of making us laugh out loud. And even more than that, making even more noise, is this rooster on top of his head that's crowing very loudly. And if you want to have a moral spin on it, a painting like this might encourage you to behave a little bit less silly in your life, to be a little bit more serious. And you have to remember, this is a time where people don't have TV, they don't have radio, they don't have podcasts. Artwork was a source of entertainment. All of the works that you see in this show, most of them at least, you can think of them as kind of conversation pieces. People would come over, you would discuss the work in front of you, and maybe you'd have a laugh together.
The exhibition opened in Denver 2 years ago and moved to Dallas last year. The showing in Montreal marks its Canadian premiere, and it attracts about 1,000 visitors each day.
I think this is a really beautiful exhibit. I'm very impressed with it. I'm visiting Montreal from Toronto, and when I saw it was on, I definitely wanted to see it. I've brought my granddaughter because I want to introduce her to some of the masters.
It's really nice that we can have some art that comes from all over the world, so we can have multiple points of views on how they did it before and how they do it now, and multiple styles, if you want, of arts.
What we hope is that even though these works come from far away and a distant time, they still speak to us today around timeless human themes like the love of a partner, fear of death, and really just the kind of absurdity of life on Earth. All of those themes come together in this exhibition.
You may see saints, sinners, lovers, and fools. 300 years of Flemish Masterworks at the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts from now until October 20th. The majority of work in the show comes from the Phoebus Foundation, a Belgian organization dedicated to preserving, restoring, and managing artwork. The Phoebus Foundation organized the exhibition, along with the Denver Art Museum.
Spotlight is supported by the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation, dedicated to improving the quality of life for year-round residents of the Adirondack Park.